right, we are on chapter 4. It's called Dragon Hunt of the Secret Rescuers. Sophie's thoughts were whirling as she hurried back into the castle. Maybe if she watched from a window upstairs, she'd be able to see when it was safe to rescue Cloudy. She hoped he wasn't too lonely by himself. "You're running late, Sophie," Mrs. Ricker pounced on her as soon as she reached the kitchen. "Leave that fruit for cook. You must come with me at once. Her Majesty has ordered a thorough cleaning of her chambers." She handed Sophie a broom and a duster. Sophie had no choice but to follow Mrs. Ricker along the red-carpeted hallway that led past the banquet hall and up the grand staircase to the Queen's chambers. "Everything must be spotless," ordered the housekeeper. As soon as she'd gone, Sophie started polishing and dusting. It wasn't her favorite chore. That was mixing the icing for Cook's delicious cakes. But she knew she could do it quickly. She finished dusting and swept the floor. Then she ran to the window, opened it, and leaned out to see what was happening in the orchard. Sir Fitzroy was standing in the statue garden with his arms folded. Guards swarmed around the fountains and the vegetable plot. But the orchard was empty. Sophie's heart lifted. If she could get back outside, she might be able to fetch Cloudy down from the tree and sneak him out of the castle gates. Picking up her broom and duster, Sophie rushed to the door and looked out. Drat! Miss Ricker was right outside in the corridor, dusting the picture frames. How was she going to get to the orchard without the housekeeper giving her a new list of chores? Desperate, she looked out the window again. A patch of trees swayed in the middle of the orchard. The wind was stirring their branches and fluttering their leaves. If Cloudy was making that happen, it might mean he was scared. She hoped the guards wouldn't notice that it was only windy in one part of the garden. Sophie opened the window wider and looked at the thick ivy growing up the castle wall. If she were brave, she could climb right down it without Mrs. Ricker seeing her. Was the ivy strong enough to hold her? She climbed onto the windowsill, swung her leg out, and tested the ivy's strength with her foot. Yes, it seemed pretty sturdy. She threw her broom and duster onto the grass. Then she climbed carefully down the ivy, choosing firm handholds and footholds all the way. At the bottom, she brushed the dirt off her apron and hid the broom and duster behind a bush. Now, all she had to do was fetch Cloudy. There she is, climbing down the ivy. She kept a lookout for Sir Fitzroy and the guards as she ran across to the trees. The orchard was still empty, and Sophie breathed a sigh of relief when she reached the ladder. "Cloudy, are you all right?" she whispered. There was no reply. Maybe Cloudy couldn't understand her when the magical stone was hidden inside the little cloth bag. Delving into her apron pocket, she found the hollow rock with the beautiful crystals. Then she tried again. "Cloudy, it's me. I'm coming up the ladder." She climbed up and parted the branches, but the places where she'd left Cloudy was empty. Panicking, she reached higher into the tree, pushing leaves away from her face. But there was no baby dragon there. Heart thumping, Sophie climbed down and scanned the orchard. Where was he? Had Sir Fitzroy found him and thrown him in a cage? No, that couldn't be right. She could hear the guards calling to one another as they searched. "Cloudy, where are you?" she hissed. "It's me, Sophie." She ran up and down the rows of apple trees, looking up into the branches. There was no cute purple dragon or purple face peering down at her, and no breeze stirring the leaves. Sophie looked around wildly. Cloudy couldn't have just disappeared. The statue garden at one end of the orchard was full of guards. At the other end was the maze. She ran toward the maze, hoping that was the right guess. Thick hedge walls closed around her. Sophie ran left and right, checking each corner to see if a little purple dragon was hiding there. The maze was enormous, and the twisty turns seemed to go on forever. At last she reached the center and ran straight into Tom, who was clipping the hedges. "You're in a hurry." Tom put down his clippers and wiped his forehead. "What are you doing?" And there's the maze. "Nothing really," said Sophie, scanning the place for Cloudy. "Have you lost something?" asked Tom. No, of course not." Sophie knew she didn't sound very convincing, though. "You're looking for that creature that crashed into the orchard, aren't you?" said Tom. "They think it's a dragon. I thought about joining in the hunt, too, but I reckon the silly monster flew off ages ago." "He's not a silly monster," Sophie blurted out. I mean, he could be a really nice little dragon. Maybe he's just a baby." Tom folded his arms, his freckled face curious. "You've seen him. Did you tell Sir Fitzroy?" Sophie's cheeks flushed. "No, and I'm not going to either. He wants to put Cloudy in a cage, and that's a horrible thing to do." Tom shook his head. "Sir Fitzroy is a powerful man. You don't want to get on the wrong side of him." "I'm not scared of him," Sophie said, although she was a little. She glanced at Tom. She found him a bit annoying sometimes, but he was always kind to animals. She'd seen him look after the horses in the royal stable. If he agreed to help, it would make finding Cloudy a whole lot easier. She took a deep breath. "I'm going to make sure Cloudy escapes. Do you want to help me?" "Sure," said Tom, grinning. "We can have our own dragon hunt. But why do you call him Cloudy? You say it as if you know it's his real name." "Promise you won't tell?" said Sophie. And Tom nodded. "I do know it's his real name because he told me. Something amazing happened today. I discovered a magical stone, and now I can talk to a dragon." And that's the end of chapter 4.